Loibner-Waitkus.
All right, let's talk about Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken. And you've noticed you started with a whole bunch of different, motivational memes with quotes from this poem. And, it's a happy poem. It's a great poem. It's all about, doing what's different and how that makes things better. And you had that teacher who taught it motivational and had the poster of the two roads diverged with a quote from the poem in a room and Carpe Diem somewhere else in the room and all of that other kind of stuff. What I want you to do is I want you to find that teacher who taught it to you that way, and I want you to hurt everything that she loves, because that's the biggest load of bull on the planet. This is the most misinterpreted poem ever, and trust me on this, I'm right. Once I read it to you, once we go over this, you'll understand that this is the most misinterpreted poem on the planet, and it could not be any clearer what Frost meant with what he's saying. So, and I think Frost is playing a little bit of a joke on the reader, trying to get the reader to get sucked into what we've done with this poem, which is, make it this motivational thing that it's not. So let's look at it. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. Okay, so first we start with the yellow wood, which is nice. We have that very fall imagery, okay, the yellow leaves and all of that. And two roads diverged, okay? And sorry I could not travel both. So again, he's saying, you can't go down both roads and be one traveler. He's one person, he can only choose one. Long I stood, okay? Now that's important there. So it was not a quick decision. He sat there and sort of considered them and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Okay, now that's important because the one that he eventually doesn't take bends into the undergrowth, meaning he doesn't know where it goes. The one that he doesn't bend into the undergrowth, right? And so he gets a clear picture of what's ahead, okay? Then took the other, okay, so he doesn't take the one that he can't see all the way down. Then took the other as just as fair, okay? So it's just as fair, it's just as good a trail. And having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Okay, so again, it's grassy and wanted wear. What he means by that is the other one was rockier, perhaps. I mean, I don't know how he knows the other one if he didn't take it, but rockier and less comfortable. I mean, this one's sort of carpeted and beautiful. Though, as for the passing there, had warned them really about the same. Again, so enough people have gone down this. This one hasn't been less traveled. It just is grassier and wanting wear less. Okay, so they've both been used about the same. Okay, but he doesn't even know that yet that it was grassy and wanted wear. If we're even going to consider that possibility, that it's less traveled. Why? Because the third stanza, and both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. So he really can't even tell until he's on that one that it was grassy and wanted wear, right? As far as he's concerned, he can't really tell which one's been traveled more because they're both covered in leaves. I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. Again, he's saying here, he's saving the other one for another day, but it's a little tongue-in-cheek because he knows you're not coming back. You're not going to redo this. You make this decision in life. I mean, think about it, a career or whatever you do, and very rarely do people go, oh, well, let's change that whole thing. You go down this path, and that's the path that you stay on, and you don't ever come back to get to make what this is a metaphor for a major decision again. So he knows once that decision's made, it's made. Now the most important stanza is the fourth stanza, because notice the rest of this has been in the past, and this is the misunderstood stanza more than anything. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Okay, so his point here is in the future, I'm going to be talking about this. So this has not happened yet, but in the future, I'm going to be saying what I'm about to say, which is two roads diverged in a wood and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all of the difference. So what he's saying here is he's talking about how we rewrite our memories. We rewrite our past, right? So basically, he had to make a choice. Which road did he choose? He chose the one he could see farther down, right? He chose the one that he got lucky, was grassier and was easier to pass through. But they were both passed the same. He says that clearly. The passing there had worn them really about the same. They both are equally traveled, okay? So what's going to happen is years from now, with a sigh, he's going to remember this decision, okay, and sort of sigh about it in the future, and then say, he took the one less traveled by, and that's what's made all the difference. And so what he's talking about, again, is how we rewrite our past, and we say that thing. We invent a history that doesn't really exist. He didn't really take the road necessarily less traveled by. He certainly not knowingly, but years from now he'll say he did, and that's where he got where he is, and how we have a tendency to do that with our memories and to do that when explaining things in our past. So it's really interesting. Another thing that I think is interesting too, though, is even if you want to read it that way, that it's he's going to claim this. He said he ends with that has made all the difference. Okay, that's not a positive word. It's not really a negative word. It's just different, okay? So I think that's really interesting too there. I just don't see, and neither does any reasonable critic, okay? I just don't see how this is supposed to be this motivational poem. It simply isn't. He's really just joking about how we have this tendency to rewrite things, make them more positive, and the American culture has just bought into it hook, line, and sinker. So I can't wait to read your posts on this to see how many of you talk about how motivational it is. Don't be embarrassed if you did. You were brainwashed before, and we do have this tendency to want to make this a positive poem, but the fact of the matter is, it ain't. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.